All right, people, what's up and welcome back to the Rant. Now, last week, guys, lots of people seemed to really enjoy it. A lot of people had a lot of fun. I had enough positive feedback from people who wanted to see more, who sent me some submissions, things of that nature. Now, just a quick note in the future, because I didn't quite say this last time. If you wish to remain anonymous with any of your topics, things like that, obviously YouTube comments aren't anonymous, but send me DMs for topics, things like that, or any suggestions. If you want to stay anonymous, let me know. Otherwise, I will read out your names with these questions and things that come through. So, on to the rant. Time for your favorite grumpy ass podcast, grumpy ass film shooter, mid-30s, whinge bag, shoots with coops. So, let's do this again, guys. And the gas strut on this chair is going to drive me nuts for the rest of the day. I tell you what. Right, so the first thing is a rebuttal from last week. So it was a rebuttal from one of the videos, one of the customer comments, and the topic was to do with me talking about having patience with your lab and how people just need to stop being dickheads and realize that, lab techs, they're people too. They're people too. They're not just doing that. So this comment here, I'm just going to read it out. This is from Gavin Lagrange. Comments on the labs. I work in a small lab in Queensland, and we generally have a 1.5 hour turnaround on developing and scanning. That is pretty wild. Every now and then, it stretches out to half a day turnaround due to large orders, and you wouldn't believe how many people get aggro after 2 to 3 hours of dropping off their film that they haven't received their scans yet. Just chill. We're getting to it. We want your scans to be the highest quality possible they can be. Gavin, thank you for commenting. Spot on. Guys, don't be wankers. Again, we used to have to wait, going back several years, guys, we wait days, 2-3 days to get scans back. Now, if you're processing E6, sometimes you're waiting a week or 2 weeks to get slides back. So do not bitch and moan at a lab over 2 or 3 hours. Gavin's right. You know what I mean? The fact that his lab is pumping out some serious quantity, this must be a serious lab. He hasn't named the lab, but it must be a pretty busy lab. Just be nice people, guys. They'll do it when they do it. There's other people who got there first. Okay. Moving on. Now, I want to do a Legend of the Week, guys. Legend of the Week, new segment. Now, if anybody sees anybody who has done something really cool or just been an all-round, beautiful human being to the film community, let me know and I want to mention them on this show. So, off the AFP Facebook group, this week's Legend of the Week that I saw was Thomas Parker. Tommy boy, you legend. It's just such a nice thing to do. Instead of being a wanker and buying it yourself, and turning around and flipping it and making double your money, quadruple your money potentially. So, Tommy Parker has gone into a Vinnie's in Wagga Wagga. So, for anyone listening around the world, Vinnie's, St Vincent de Paul charity shop. Wagga Wagga is a town in New South Wales. Okay. He's gone in there and he's seen, I'll put the picture up wherever there's space on the screen here. He's obviously found a Bronica ETRS kit with what looks like the 75mm lens, metered prism, film back for $250. That is a steal. These go anywhere from $750 to $1,000. And instead of buying it, rubbing it at everyone's faces or anything, Tommy just put it up as a public service announcement, such a nice guy, and just said, I left it for someone else. It seemed to have a few issues, but it would be worth it if you're after one. That is just such a nice thing to do. Not gloat, not brag, just be like, hey, I'm good for cameras. I don't need this. I'm not going to try and grease the film community, which people can do all the time. You buy something cheap, then they turn around and sell it for double, triple the price. You know what I mean? And we know there's people who do it. They're the wankers that post on the internet that they found an Olympus Move for $100 at an op shop, and then a couple months later they're selling it for $400 or $500. Fucking wankers. Anyway, Tommy, you're a legend. Okay, moving on to another great thing I've seen. Now our Australia's favourite Astro film photographer, Jace de Freitas. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Jace. Jace Film on Instagram. Anyone on AFP knows who this guy is. If you don't, anyone else, I'll put his Instagram down below. Everyone else around the world. This guy does amazing photography astrophotography on film. Sometimes he even does it on slide film or medium format. It's insane. The research, the knowledge that goes into him getting these shots. Anyway, we had that big eclipse a week ago. Jace got out, did his thing, and took some amazing photos of that eclipse all on film. Looked amazing. Hopefully I can put the picture up here somewhere. Jace, amazing work. Everybody, get behind him. It's just an amazing astro film photographer. Great stuff. Okay, people, moving on to the rant. Topic number 1. I'm trying to bang through this because I don't want these videos to be too long, but once I get going, you guys know the drill if you watched last week. Once I get going on something, there ain't no stopping me. Just ask my wife. Anyway, okay, now this question was submitted on Instagram by NK Anderson, Nick Anderson. Thank you, Nick, for reaching out. Like I said earlier, if you guys want to remain anonymous, just let me know. Okay, Nick has said our topic is gatekeepers. So older people who can't give credit to the younger because they haven't slaved in the game, and new film shooters who think they are way more than what their skill level is. And I said, ooh, yes. I said I can roll with this because we got shit to talk about. Oh yeah. Okay, gatekeepers. Gatekeeping, old gatekeeping people who've been in the game for a long time. Now, technically, I don't know what age bracket you would call gatekeepers. In my mind, I'm thinking 40-year-old plus, guys that have just grown up on film. All they know is film. They've been in the game. That's it. I feel like, and to talk about gatekeepers, there's a perfect example to give here in Perth. Now, I'm throwing this dickhead under the bus because he stitched me up in the past. Camera repair shop here named Ambrose Camera Repair. Guy who owns it, Clint. He's been doing this for a long time. His whole life has been camera repair. But he is probably the most condescending prick you're ever going to meet in your life. My main reason for my gripe with him is I took him a lens to fix, a Contax 51.4 that I took apart because I'm an idiot thinking I can clean it, get it out. Because, before the before Contax lenses were getting snapped up by everybody to use in cinema cameras and price went through the roof. Anyway, Planar 51.4, and I took it apart like a fucking retard because I'm an idiot, thinking I could clean it, couldn't put it back together. Took it to Clint. So this is what I've done. Can you please, rehouse it? Put the grouping back in the lens, the metal mount. Yeah, no, okay, no worries. So a week went past, and I sent him, gave him a call. Hey, how's it going? He said, oh, sorry, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I said, no worries. I'm sure you're busy. That's cool. I called a week later. So this is 2 weeks now. Haven't had a chance to look at it. Still been busy. Okay, 3 weeks later, same bullshit. I've been too busy, and I'm going, in my head, I'm going, for fuck's sake, I could have sent it somewhere else. Anyway, 4 weeks later, same story. Oh, I'm too busy, haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm at 3 weeks, you said I'm repairing a similar one at the same time. And anyway, 5 weeks, I call him and he just says, oh, nah, can't do it. Nah, I tried, can't do it. It's too hard, can't do it. Come pick it up. $50, $100. I didn't even go and pick the fucking lens up. I thought, I'm not paying. You want him to charge me $100 for his labor? I'm like, mate, you've strung me along for fucking 5 weeks only to tell me you can't do it, and you never looked at it until probably 10 minutes before I called you. Get fucked. But this gatekeeper prick, like I said, anyone who's been into his shore, you're either going to totally disagree with me and think he's a legend. I think he's the most condescending dick I've ever met because I've tried to talk about film cameras and he just looks at you like you're a fucking idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. Which, granted, maybe a lot of people are stupid like that come in, but I still think you're better off just always being nice to people like that and just being a good customer service because you never know who's walked in the door. For all you know, you could be talking shit to the heir to Kodak for all you know. You know what I mean? You don't know. Just be a good human being. Don't be a jerk. Anyway, condescending prick. A friend of mine actually tried to become his apprentice. He's passionate about film cameras. Told me the story, listen, I don't pay me. I want to do it for free. Do not pay me. I don't expect you to pay me. I just want to learn. And then maybe one day he can work for you. And if I'm this guy, I'm thinking he's not getting any fucking younger. And someone, this young guy who's passionate has come to and said, I want to learn. Please teach me for free. I just want to learn. They're the types of people need to be passing on their knowledge to the younger generation. And this is true for a lot of the world, I think. There's a lot of real gatekeeping old dudes. There's not a lot of, I don't want to generalize here, but I'm assuming there's not many women camera repairers. Don't have a go at me and say it's sexist for saying that. I'm just pretty sure that most of them are men for whatever reason. Anyway, these guys don't want to share their knowledge. They don't want to teach the younger generation. I remember catching Triple P Repairs. He's in Europe, in the UK, a young guy, Pommy guy. He self-taught repairman because, again, he tried. And I remember him talking in the interview. I caught it, negative feedback. Old George Munsey did a piece on him years ago, and he said there were just people who they didn't want to teach him. People didn't want to teach him, and he had to try and teach himself. And this kid's obviously an absolute, ambidextrous, got some major motor skills, but taught himself how to repair cameras. Amazing, absolute legend. But again, I remember him saying no one wanted to teach him. Same deal. This guy here, Clint Ambrose. Some, people, I'm sure my mate who went to him wasn't the first one who said, I just want to learn. I'm passionate about film cameras. I love it. Please teach me. And he just snubbed him off. No, not interested. Again, don't be gatekeepery. Share your wealth of knowledge. Guys, all you older camera repair guys, you're not going to be around forever. And what happens when you guys are done and dusted and you haven't passed on your knowledge? Who the fuck's going to repair our cameras then? You know what I mean? There's not going to be anyone to do it. There's only a few people around the world. There's only a few, and I'm pretty sure they're quite well known, but younger people around the world who actually know how to do this, they've been professionally trained by older repairmen who've passed on their knowledge. And there's lots of guys who have just retired. There was another guy here in Perth who a couple of years ago I got given his name and I reached out to him. And he's like, I've just retired now. Every now and then I do something, but I'm pretty much done. Anyway, gatekeepers, and then you dickheads, please share your knowledge, guys. Anyway, and we already lost someone. Jorg from European Camera Repair. Jorg, who was probably the antithesis of that. I remember he's fixed a few of my Leicas over the years when I had Leicas. And I'd call him and ask him, he'd call you for an update, and York would sit there on the phone and give you a play-by-play, screw-by-screw, step-by-step of what he did to repair your camera. And sometimes you just couldn't get off the phone with him. Like, you probably want to hang up on him and be like, fuck, man, this guy's carrying on. Like, I've got stuff to do. But he would sit there and it was amazing. York would tell you exactly what he did, what was exactly wrong with it, how he fixed it, how hard it was, how easy it was. Just amazing to be so open with that info. Unfortunately, York moved back to Germany because he was a factory Leica trained tech, moved back to Germany to start up a camera repair business back there because film's gone gangbusters and everybody wants to own a Leica these days. So he moved back there. Shame we lost him. Anyway, moving on to part 2 of Nick's question and talking about the younger people being idiots. Let's see how much time we're on, people. One sec. The younger crew thinking that they're awesome but they're not. 100%. There's a lot of super alternative young hipsters with 50 million piercings and a bazillion tattoos, and they think that they are fucking awesome and that everything they do has deep meaning behind it. Like they're about to have an exhibition at the friggin' MoMA or the Met or something. I can't stand those people. Yes, there's a lot of young people who, and then the nonsense that everyone feeds. Oh my God, this work's amazing. It's like, no, it's not. It's really not that amazing. It's some some nude photos of someone laying in a bed of grass or something equally boring that is kind of cool, but it just gets so much credit and this person's a visionary and their work's amazing. And it's like, well, I bet their work's been done before and you clowns didn't even do your research, because that's generally what happens these days anyway. But then, and they just do my head in. Again, guys, I'm 35. I'm in my mid-30s. I grew up listening to punk rock, Blink-182, Pennywise, NoFX, shit like that. You know what I mean? I'm not into this whole new wave thing. So maybe I'm just an idiot stuck in the past, or just I'm not hip enough. I'm definitely not hip, not cool, not with the times, I would say that. You know what I mean? Because I would say, yeah, maybe people between sort of, 18 to 25, there's definitely a lot of people, like Nick said, they're younger people in there who definitely think that they are fucking too cool for school. They are way too cool for school, and they're better than the rest of us, and they make better work than the rest of us, and they're just so cool with all their alternative, processes and, banging on, taking drugs and having mind-altering experiences, and oh God, the work's amazing. And this is a whole nother conversation that I'm going to shut myself up now because I could friggin' rant about that in itself. Anyway, but on the flip side, there are young crew putting in the work and making amazing content. And what springs to mind is actually the young group of dudes who are responsible for Walls magazine. Now, they just had Walls episode. It's a magazine, so they had the issue number 2. They had a big release thing at Gage Roads Brewery down in Fremantle last Friday night, and I wish I could have gone, but my wife got home super late from work. I've got kids. You know, it's like you can't just, when you got kids, I mean, you can't just drop everything and go to a gallery thing. Anyway, went off with a bang. These are a group of young dudes who is, mostly my type of stuff. Your Leroy Grannis, surf photography and beach culture lifestyle thing. But these group of young creatives are young. They're all in their, I would say early 20s, but they are banging out amazing work. The guy who's responsible for a lot of it, Jack O'Grady, he's an amazing surf photographer. This guy's young, but he's, if you look at some of his work, he's photographed Kelly Slater, Steph Gilmore. I think there's some portraits of that in a portrait of Kelly and a portrait of Steph. If you don't know who everyone knows who Kelly Slater is. So Stephanie Gilmore is the female Kelly Slater. So he's had access to somehow a lot of people, but young dude, but putting in the work and amazing stuff. So there are some young people out there who are actually doing some amazing stuff that we do have to, as older people, we may have that vein of jealousy thinking, I could have done it, well, if I had access to that when I was younger and it would have been easier. But we got to take a step back and just acknowledge that these young crew are the next wave. They're putting in the work. They're going to be the famous ones down the track. Okay, now we're going to take a slight break because I got to dump the footage off that memory card because I think it's going to run out in a second, and then we'll be right back, people. All right, you beautiful people, we are back. So, just to sum up, Nick, thank you for your topic to talk about all the gatekeepers and all you older crew. Spread the love. Let us in. We just want to be part of, we want to carry on the tradition. We want to carry on the tradition. Okay. We've got guys like Camera Rescue over in Finland, that do amazing work. We need something to happen here in Australia, guys. Just because the sheer logistics of us having to send cameras around the world to be repaired is a nightmare. If anyone has to send anything, let's say Leica related, because Leica will still repair the 3 cameras anyway, having to send that from here all the way over to Germany and the time it takes for it to come back, and likewise with a lot of other camera brands. If we had some more people here who were willing to train the next younger crop, that would be amazing. Anyway, moving on, our next topic comes from Jackson Saunders, and Jackson said he wants to talk about film hoarders. Okay, there's a topic for you. Okay, so Jackson's submission was, sent me a message on Instagram and just said, film hoarders. So, buying up all the film stocks just to hoard them or sell them for a profit and not actually using them to shoot. Now, we all know somebody that does this. Now, there's a difference between people who are hoarding when everything just comes out, and then people who actually are planning for the future, and maybe people who have had these stocks for a long time. I know some people that have just got, so much expired film from just years of collecting it, and that, to be honest, there's some of the people who you see selling those giant batches of expired film on the AFP pages or any, Facebook Marketplace, wherever, because they've just accumulated so much that they know they're just never going to get rid of it. We're never going to get to shoot it, sorry. And then there's, people like me who like to just have a healthy stock of film and not hoarding a healthy stock. So everyone knows that I love to shoot a lot of black and white film. So these days, generally what I try and do is, because of the film shortages. Now, this is all to do with just shortages, and it's not as bad with black and white because Ilford are definitely way, on the ball compared to Kodak. But I like to have, I should just bulk roll black and white film, 35. It's just so much easier for me. Save a lot of money because I like to shoot a lot of black and white film. I develop it all at home, scan it, etc. You guys know the drill. Anyway, I like to usually buy 2 bulk rolls at a time, whether it be Ilford FP4, my favourite, or these days I'm really starting to lean towards Delta 400. That flatter, grayer look. It's really starting to tickle my pickle. I tell you, it's a good look. Especially, like Delta 400 on medium format or T-Max. And because now I'm an idiot and went and spent more money and bought another one of these, which you would have seen if you watched the last video. I do love 6x6 anyway, for 120 as well. But I like to buy 2 bulk rolls. And what I'll do is I'll bulk roll out into cassettes. I go to my lab and I just get, a handful of, about 20 but usually between 18 and 20 you can get from a bulk roll. I'll go get a whole stack, about 20 used film canisters, and I'll roll out that first roll completely. Roll it all out and just have a stack of, of 18 or 19 rolls, because I usually roll about 37 or 38 frames per roll, just to have a couple extra in the can, and just have them rolled ready to go, so I can just grab a fresh one wherever I need be. And then when I've gone through all that, like I think I'm down to my last, this is just sitting here because I'm about to put it into, lucky it's an F6 and it's bulletproof. Anyway, I was about to put this into the F6 before, but this is the last roll from that first bulk roll. What I'll go do next is I'm going to roll out the second bulk roll completely, and then within a week, usually I try and order another one and have it on the way, just so that, there's just that supply, like I've got, in case I ever have a, let's just say, because it's coming into winter now as well, and especially speaking of winter in the F6 and the Aquatech housing, let's say there's just some sort of wild surf event happens, and it hasn't happened since 2018, but a giant cyclone came through and just tore up the WA coast up north, but spat out the biggest run of swell we've ever had. And if any of you bought my local book, a lot of the black and white photos you see of, like, the big barreling stuff, and I'm prepared for that situation. But these days, what I don't like to see, and it's true, like we spoke about last week when I cussed out all the dickheads going to Kmart and buying up all the Colour Plus. There's a few people, and and I know, and they're there, and I know people saw the posts, and I think a lot of them deleted the posts off the AFP page, but there was dudes who were going out there buying bricks of the shit from Kmart and then turning around and trying to flip it for a profit. That I just do not abide by. They're the type of people that just need a good backhand. Just, just like that, solid backhand slap across the face, like, stay in your lane, put you in your place. Don't be a dick. There is no benefit. The film community is different to the digital community, okay? And I feel like the film community is definitely more akin to things like the skateboarding community. Not even the surf community. The surf community can be a bit gatekeeper and be a bit arsehole, but more like the skateboard community, whereas everyone generally is out to help everyone else. Everyone, everyone's generally wants to do the right thing. And there is a sort of seriously sense of, like, loyalty and community within all those people who share that interest. But then people go out of their way just to be dicks. It's just like that. Every facet of life, there's always going to be people who want to swim against the stream and just be dickheads. Hold on, let's just check what time we're on, people. Sorry, just checking. And people who do that, I can't stand. I can't absolutely stand them. So, just turning and flipping it for a profit is insane. And people have been doing that a lot lately. If you look on that AFP page, there's dudes who are doing that. They're buying Portra, and they might be finding Portra now at the old price. So they've picked it up for, what is it, $24, $25 a roll. Now with the new price release, we're at about $30 per roll of Kodak 35. And there's no longer discounts for buying, when you buy a Pro Pack of 5. I just bought a 5 Pro Pack from my local at the new price rise, and it was $130. Was it $130 for that? Yeah, what does that equate to? Maybe it isn't. Let's go. Calculator right in front of me, people. No, it was more than $130 because it was $30 a roll. So 150. Oh, God, that's shocking, isn't it? Anyway, it was $30 a roll. But that's just, that's the new price. It is what it is. It sucks, but like I said, me and Hashem spoke about on that, if you ever caught that live me and Hashem did, although the last time we had a chat online, we're going to pay it. I'm going to pay it. I'm the type of person who's going to keep paying it because I just love film. I have 2 Pro Packs of Portra, so 10 rolls of Portra in my stash. But that's it. That's literally just, I've got that. I don't have any Ultramax gold or anything. I've just got like those 10 rolls that I will, shoot as it comes, shoot whenever I want to shoot some color and so on. But people who sit there, just, hoarding, I don't, like I said, I don't have a huge issue with people hoarding, especially people who hoard like expired film. Like, I wish I had some old school expired cool stocks because we're just losing everything these days. But people hoarding is not an issue, I think, because a lot of people are just scared like me, or maybe not exactly like me, but scared in the sense that the stocks are just going to run out. We all know how bad Kodak is, but apparently it's not. If you know, been listening to the rumor mill, which we can briefly talk about, Kodak Alaris is up for sale, so they're the distributors. But apparently, I think the reason we have been having supply shortages is because Kodak in the US has to give all their, sell their stock to Kodak Alaris, who distribute globally. And I think Kodak in the US have been doing a little bit of a dodgy get fucked thing, and not supplying them, or making excuses to not be able to supply them with more rolls of film. And now they're up for sale. It's all very fishy because Nico just did an hour-long podcast on his channel about it. Go and watch it. His theory actually makes sense because you kind of go, okay, they don't have enough stock, but how the hell is Kodak in America supplying the re-rolled and dodgy Fuji 200, which is gold because it says made in the USA, and now the Fuji 400 color, which is Ultramax because it both says made in the USA, and no one else in the USA makes film, excuse me, except Kodak. How are they dishing out this new stock and getting that out globally and into supermarkets across America? How is Kmart here in Australia getting all that color plus? Because it's not coming from Kodak Alaris, I don't think so. Anyway, there's something dodgy going on there. Anyway, we'll move on. That's a whole nother topic, and I'm sure all that will come to light in the next coming months. Anyway, the hoarders, don't give them too much shit for hoarding, people, because generally, how many times recently have you gone, and I know I have, I went to buy a bulk roll of, just to go and buy some Delta 400 120 for this, and it was out of stock. It's just out of stock, and I'm like, oh, bugger. I would have liked to have bought me 4 or 5 rolls to shoot, but it's just out of stock. So you can't hold it against people hoarding it and not shooting it, because it's just the last couple of years with COVID and supply chain issues, it sucks. We just don't know when we're going to get film sometimes. And the unfortunately is sometimes our labs, guys, they're putting their orders are like 6-month backlog, something stupid. They're still waiting for film to come through anyway. But hopefully things do start to get better in the coming months and years. We start to see a steady supply chain. That just would be nice, so that when you go, you can go and get some Portra if you have a last minute job or something. That would be nice. That would be lovely. But who knows if that's actually going to happen. Anyway, so that's all I had on the books for this week's rant. Like I said, guys, if the legend of the week category, again, Thomas Parker, you hero. If somebody has seen somebody do something outstanding or just be an absolute stand-up community member, let me know so I can give them a shout out on the show. Any rebuttals to anything I've said, you guys want to talk smack about me, feel free to jump in the comments and call me a dickhead or a wanker. That's cool. I can live with it. Any suggestions for our next video or rebuttals to talk about this, send me some Instagram DMs, etc. Thanks for tuning in to the rant, guys, and I'll see you next week.